You are listening to Section 2, Fables 21 through 40 of 300 Aesop's Fables, translated by George Fyler Townsend. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Michael Armenta. 21. The Farmer and the Snake. One winter, a farmer found a snake stiff and frozen with cold. He had compassion on it, and taking it up, placed it in his bosom. The snake was quickly revived by the warmth, and resuming its natural instincts, bit its benefactor, inflicting on him a mortal wound. "Oh," cried the farmer with his last breath, "I am rightly served for pitying a scoundrel." The greatest kindness will not bind the ungrateful. 22. The Fawn and his Mother. A young fawn once said to his mother, "You are larger than a dog, and swifter and more used to running, and you have your horns as a defense. Why then, O mother, do the hounds frighten you so?" She smiled and said, "I know full well, my son, that all you say is true. I have the advantages you mention. But when I hear even the bark of a single dog, I feel ready to faint and fly away as fast as I can." No arguments will give courage to the coward. 23. The Bear and the Fox. A bear boasted very much of his philanthropy, saying that of all animals he was the most tender in his regard for man, for he had such respect for him that he would not even touch his dead body. A fox, hearing these words, said with a smile to the bear, "Oh, that you would eat the dead and not the living." 24. The Swallow and the Crow. The Swallow and the Crow had a contention about their plumage. The Crow put an end to the dispute by saying, "Your feathers are all very well in the spring, but mine protect me against the winter." Fair weather friends are not worth much. 25. The Mountain in Labor. A mountain was once greatly agitated. Loud groans and noises were heard, and crowds of people came from all parts to see what was the matter. While they were assembled in anxious expectation of some terrible calamity, out came a mouse. Don't make much ado about nothing. 26. The Ass, the Fox, and the Lion. The Ass and the Fox, having entered into partnership together for their mutual protection, went out into the forest to hunt. They had not proceeded far when they met a lion. The fox, seeing imminent danger, approached the lion and promised to contrive for him the capture of the ass if the lion would pledge his word not to harm the fox. Then, upon assuring the ass that he would not be injured, the fox led him to a deep pit and arranged that he should fall into it. The lion, seeing that the ass was secured, immediately clutched the fox and attacked the ass at his leisure. 27. The Tortoise and the Eagle. A tortoise, lazily basking in the sun, complained to the seabirds of her hard fate, that no one would teach her to fly. An eagle, hovering near, heard her lamentation, and demanded what reward she would give him if he would take her aloft and float her in the air. "I will give you," she said, "all the riches of the Red Sea." "I will teach you to fly then," said the eagle, and taking her up in his talons, he carried her almost to the clouds. Suddenly he let her go, and she fell on a lofty mountain, dashing her shell to pieces. The tortoise exclaimed in the moment of death, "I have deserved my present fate, for what had I to do with wings and clouds, who can with difficulty move about on the earth?" If all men had all they wished, they would be often ruined. 28. The flies and the honey pot. A number of flies were attracted to a jar of honey which had been overturned in the housekeeper's room, and, placing their feet in it, ate greedily. Their feet, however, became so smeared with the honey that they could not use their wings, nor release themselves, and were suffocated. Just as they were expiring, they exclaimed, "O foolish creatures that we are, for the sake of a little pleasure, we have destroyed ourselves." Pleasure, bought with pain, hurts. 29. A man and the lion. A man and a lion traveled together through the forest. They soon began to boast of their respective superiority to each other in strength and prowess. As they were disputing, they passed a statue carved in stone, which represented a lion strangled by a man. The traveler pointed to it and said, "See there, how strong we are, and how we prevail over even the king of beasts." The lion replied, "This statue was made by one of you men. If we lions knew how to erect statues, you would see the man placed under the paw of the lion." 30. The farmer and the cranes. Some cranes make their feeding grounds on some plowlands newly sown with wheat. For a long time, a farmer, brandishing an empty sling, chased them away by the terror he inspired. But when the birds found that the sling was only swung in the air, they ceased to take any notice of it and would not move. The farmer, on seeing this, charged his sling with stones and killed a great number. The remaining birds at once forsook his fields, crying to each other, "It is time for us to be off to Lilliput, for this man is no longer content to scare us, but begins to show us in earnest what he can do." If words suffice not, blows must follow. 31. The dog in the manger. A dog lay in a manger, and by his growling and snapping prevented the oxen from eating the hay which had been placed for them. "What a selfish dog," said one of them to his companions. "He cannot eat the hay himself, and yet refuses to allow those to eat who can." 32. the Fox and the Goat. A fox one day fell into a deep well and could find no means of escape. A goat, overcome with thirst, came to the same well, and seeing the fox, inquired if the water was good. Concealing his sad plight under a merry guise, the fox indulged in a lavish praise of the water, saying it was excellent beyond measure, and encouraging him to descend. The goat, mindful only of his thirst, thoughtlessly jumped down. But just as he drank, the fox informed him of the difficulty they were both in, and suggested a scheme for their common escape. "If," said he, "you will place your 4 feet upon the wall and bend your head, I will run up your back and escape, and will help you out afterwards." The goat readily assented, and the fox leaped upon his back. Steadying himself with the goat's horns, he safely reached the mouth of the well and made off as fast as he could. When the goat upbraided him for breaking his promise, he turned around and cried out, "You foolish old fellow! If you had had as many brains in your head as you have hairs in your beard, you would never have gone down before you had inspected the way up, nor have exposed yourself to dangers from which you had no means of escape. Look before you leap." 33. The Bear and the Two Travelers. 2 men were traveling together when a bear suddenly met them on their path. One of them climbed up quickly into a tree and concealed himself in the branches. The other, seeing that he must be attacked, fell flat on the ground. And when the bear came up and felt him with his snout and smelt him all over, he held his breath and feigned the appearance of death as much as he could. The bear soon left him, for it is said that he will not touch a dead body. When he was quite gone, the other traveler descended from the tree and jocularly inquired of his friend what it was the bear had whispered in his ear. "He gave me this advice," his companion replied: "never travel with a friend who deserts you at the approach of danger." Misfortune tests the sincerity of friends. 34. The Oxen and the Axle Trees. A heavy wagon was being dragged along a country lane by a team of oxen. The axle trees groaned and creaked terribly, whereupon the oxen, turning around, thus addressed the wheels: "Hello there! Why do you make so much noise? We bear all the labor, and we, not you, ought to cry out." Those who suffer most cry out the least. 35. The Thirsty Pigeon. A pigeon, oppressed by excessive thirst, saw a goblet of water painted on a signboard. Not supposing it to be only a picture, she flew towards it with a loud whir and unwittingly dashed against the signboard, jarring herself terribly. Having broken her wings by the blow, she fell to the ground and was caught by one of the bystanders. Zeal should not outrun discretion. 36. The Raven and the Swan. A raven saw a swan and desired to secure for himself the same beautiful plumage. Supposing that the swan's splendid white color arose from his washing in the water in which he swam, the raven left the altars in the neighborhood where he picked up his living, and took his residence in the lakes and pools. But cleansing his feathers as often as he would, he could not change their color, while, through want of food, he perished. Change of habit cannot alter nature. 37. The goat and the goatherd. A goatherd had sought to bring back a stray goat to his flock. He whistled and sounded his horn in vain. The straggler paid no attention to the summons. At last, the goatherd threw a stone, and, breaking its horn, begged the goat not to tell his master. The goat replied, "Why, you silly fellow, the horn will speak, though I be silent." Do not attempt to hide things which cannot be hid. 38. The miser. A miser sold all that he had and bought a lump of gold, which he buried in a hole in the ground by the side of an old wall, and went to look at daily. One of his workmen observed his frequent visits to the spot, and decided to watch his movements. He soon discovered the secret of the hidden treasure, and, digging down, came to the lump of gold and stole it. The miser, on his next visit, found the hole empty, and began to tear his hair and to make loud lamentations. A neighbor, seeing him overcome with grief, and learning the cause, said, "Pray, do not grieve so, but go and take a stone and place it in the hole, and fancy that the gold is still lying there. It will do you quite the same service, for when the gold was there, you had it not, as you did not make the slightest use of it." 39. The sick lion. A lion, unable from old age and infirmities to provide himself with food by force, resolved to do so by artifice. He returned to his den, and lying down there, pretended to be sick, taking care that his sickness should be publicly known. The beasts expressed their sorrow, and came one by one to his den, where the lion devoured them. After many of the beasts had thus disappeared, the fox discovered the trick, and presenting himself to the lion, stood on the outside of the cave at a respectful distance, and asked him how he was. "I am very middling," replied the lion, "but why do you stand without? Pray, enter within to talk to me." "No, thank you," said the fox. "I notice that there are many prints of feet entering your cave, but I see no trace of any returning." He is wise who is warned by the misfortunes of others. The horse and groom. A groom used to spend the whole days in currycombing and rubbing down his horse, but at the same time stole his oats and sold them for his own profit. "Alas," said the horse, "if you really wish me to be in good condition, you should groom me less and feed me more." End of section 2.